AJ, you probably don't know this, but me and Cheryl have known each other through our manager and through the business. Cheryl's obviously just such an amazing talent where I get to see on red carpets and things like that. But it wasn't until my manager told me that Cheryl had on my YouTube series called Hello Rene, where I confront my mom about a sexual abuse experience that happened at 9 when a family member she let into our home who was babysitting started to do things to me for 4 years. And when I approached her about it, she didn't handle it the right way. I ran away from home at 16, and my mom and I, who you keep seeing in all these packages and stories on different stars, we fell apart for 10 years. And honestly, it took me about, and I'm not blaming my mother. This is just the trauma of being a victim of molestation.
Survivor.
Abuse, a survivor, thank you. It was recuperating myself to a point that now at 41, so I confronted my mom at 39. It took that long, you guys, from
no, seriously,
16 to
I believe it.
39, that I said, my mom and I are cool now. We've made amends, but that one area I've never gotten over. And in order for me to respect her from woman to woman,
yes,
I need to have her listen to what that did to me when she didn't believe me.
My mom and I just went through that, like less than a year. We were watching the Oprah special on Michael Jackson. So I also did a YouTube video about it just recently. I just put it up actually last Friday. And it was really hard for me to talk about. And I was by myself. My mom wrote me this beautiful letter when we were watching this Oprah show on like molestation and how they groom you and what grooming means. And they had, the victims of, that whole Michael Jackson thing that happened, that controversy there. And it's so crazy because I never could put a word to the feeling of being groomed. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, holy crap. So this is why I was blaming myself for it, as if like I never talked about it because I didn't want to upset my molester.
Yep. And by the way, the human like effects that come out of it as you grew up. I don't know if you became a people pleaser. I was a people pleaser from being groomed. I also very anti-connecting. If somebody
that's me.
Like,
I was more anti-connecting than people pleaser.
Yes. All these things come from it, but you have to actually stop yourself when you start seeing that you have habits.
Yes.
Relationships, things, repetitive things you even hear people say about you, to actually visit and go, okay, where are these things coming from? Because this is learned behavior.
But also you're feeling your feelings. Like, I don't think I've actually felt the feeling of sadness or, guilt or anger. I didn't go through the different stages because I was numbing until just recently when I've become sober for 2 years, or a little over 2 years now. When I watched your video on YouTube though, Jeannie, it was very inspiring, which is why I did this as well. And I told Stephen Grossman, our manager, that, it was so revealing and so vulnerable, and to have done that with your mother, right? Just like having an honest just conversation is I'm sure helping millions of people. So thank you for doing that. It has helped me.
You are a huge inspiration, Jeannie, whether you realize it or not. I mean, reading like fans, reading people's comments about just you in general that I've seen is nothing but positivity and inspiration. And you are such a great role model for young women out there. And, I'm in awe of you.
It's because of all that we've been through in the past. That's what, that's where you get the strength from, is the resilience that we had to go through.
And the confrontations with yourself. I'm sure that it sounds like, Cheryl, you had to have confrontations with yourself.
Oh, for sure. I had to just put it all out there.
What are damages that I'm still carrying? What is weight about me that I'm still carrying? And I can't make excuses.
No.
And that's where we become a survivor.
Well, and totally. And I've been in therapy since it happened. So it happened to me when I was like 5-6 years old, for about 4 or 5 years before I testified against him. And then he was put to prison basically he was supposed to be life in prison. He got out, went to my stepdad's dental practice and basically said, I never did that to your daughters. And it was like a full-on thing. And I was testifying against this guy by myself at 9 years old. They wouldn't let my mother in. And it was like a whole thing, right? But then my mom was busy working. I had my Filipino babysitter babysitting me who didn't believe me when I did tell her. And so it's just like, but then now I'm starting to understand why I am a certain way sometimes, and why my belief patterns and behavioral certain patterns are the way that they are. And like now I can make peace with it, but I do want to move forward and not be defined by my past, yet I'm not going to numb it and pretend it never happened.
Absolutely.
Jeannie.
And that also is part of why you're a communicator today. For me, confronting my mom was not to hear a specific answer from her. And this is what I want to make sure, if anybody is in the same place where Cheryl and I were, where we had to confront our demons. When you confront whoever it is that made it very difficult in the process to get to where we are today, it's not meant to get the right answer from them. It's not meant to get sorries. If anything, it's to have closure.
And forgiveness.
Yes.
Verbalize your story. You shut up for a second and listen to what happened to me, and just listen to what I needed from you at that time. And the second thing for me is to stop the generational curse. Asian people don't talk about their power.
Ever.
Don't admit that their family is effed up. They don't want people to look at us.
They don't hug, right? They're always patting our backs.
Yes.
We're Asian, but like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No.
It's a cult.
I want to actually absorb
Yes.
what you do learn in American culture, which is talk about your shit.
Right.
Like, I would watch sitcoms where on Family Ties, they would have a family meeting when something went wrong, and they would sit together. These white people would sit together, and I'm like, that actually looks like it works.
Right.
I want to sit together and talk to my family about that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have been able to not necessarily move on from it? Because like for me, I'll wake up sometimes depressed one morning, or like it's an everyday thing that I'm going to have to work on. It's an everyday process to become the better version of myself and feeling the feelings, right? But how are you right now as that stands? Are you still holding on to any resentment, or have you forgave your mother? You forgave her, obviously, because you guys are in talking terms, but
I have forgiven her, but I'm more about, instead of lamenting about what it caused me and what I didn't like about myself, I'm super hyper focused on what I want to become and how I want to be. So when, like, one issue about me is if I have a hot temper, and I'll be honest, I'm working on it. If I get into something, I just shut down, and all of a sudden I just clam up and I don't talk. And that doesn't help resolve things. So it's very helpful to have someone like a partner, like my fiance, who's like, no, we're not shutting down. We're talking about this. Oh, and reminding myself, you're not going to be like you were the last 30 years of your life, Jeannie. You're going to take a moment for yourself, breathe it in, and then communicate.
So do you meditate? Did you go to therapy? What did you do?
I go to therapy, but I also learn to feel my feelings. The thing you said, Cheryl, like feel your feelings, let it out, and then I go into logic. Okay, what is going to help most right now? How do I get this person to just feel where I'm at, and what is the end goal? Just to listen? Okay, then just tell them, can you please just listen? I don't need any answer.